Jaguar alone. Yeah. I don't know if Grace will go there or not. But, it's good to be that time. Check's still fun to write, but I'm sure she's excited to be there. Yeah. We're traveling a lot, or is that, I guess school all the time around. I don't think it's your gig.
We're good. Yeah, we've had a lot of travel in the summer with volleyball and just kind of getting ready.
We'll enjoy it.
We're good. We'll talk soon.
Great to see you.
You too.
Imagine all the people. Would everybody who wants to support the West Louisville Housing Initiative please stand? All right, we got unanimous. All right. Friends, Rotarians, guests, welcome to the August 18th meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. I'm Walt Kuno, President, Paul Harris Fellow, and you're not. Anyway, now for the housekeeping. Silence your phones. I did that a minute ago. I saw 2 other people do it while I was doing it. It's all good. And for those of you that are having lunch, please put your ticket at your table so that the servers can collect and you can get your food. It's all good. Providing today's invocation is Cynthia Miles Brown, co-owner of Signorama Dixie and one of your board's club directors.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I try really hard to coordinate the invocation with the speaker. It is not easy to find anything with prayers and cryptocurrency. It doesn't work. I looked and looked, so I found something else that I thought might work and change a little bit for us. So if you'll please join me in your personal tradition of prayer. Great Creator, we know that it is your will that we prosper, even financially, as our souls and spirits prosper. Help us to broaden our horizons, but be mindful of temptations. Help us to listen and conduct research into options to better ourselves, our families, our local region, and our world community. We pray that integrity and uprightness will protect us and help us be prompt about fulfilling responsibilities with fervency of spirit. It is our desire to go into the world uncorrupted, as a breath of fresh air, and provide people with a glimpse of good living and help educate others on how to do the same. Help us resist the temptations to run up debts for no reason, except for the huge debt of love we owe others. It is our ambition to lead a good life, share our wealth, study to show ourselves approved in finances, and attend diligently to our own financial responsibilities. Help us to remember that the slothful person craves and gets nothing, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. And help us share our knowledge not only of financial details, but also the greater wealth of being living examples of a vibrant human spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Cynthia. And now for the pledge and the four-way test is one of our youngest members, Charles Youngbert from Youngbert Enterprises, and he's members of the Community Impact and the Rotary Honors Scholars Committee. And welcome, Charles, to our membership and to do the pledge and four-way test.
Please follow me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Charles. Everybody please be seated. And Rotarians, if you have a guest today, please make your way to the microphone. Introduce yourself first, and then introduce your guest. While you're making your way to the microphone, will the directors of your club's board or the Rotary Fund board please stand? That would be you, Barbara, and Cynthia, and Kevin, and Tony, and Jay, and Tom. I think that's it. All right. Just want to give them, these are the leaders of your club. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. Dee, you have a guest.
So, President Ward, I have Sam Hayden, one of my real estate advisors.
Great, welcome, Sam. Hi, Judd Hendricks with Interfaith Path of Peace. I want to welcome my guest, Kathy Berkey, who's the co-founder of the Big Table, the world's largest potluck that's coming up on September 11th. So join and invite 2,000 of your favorite friends to come, and if you have any questions, ask Kathy. Thank you. Great, thank you. You'll see a slide about that too. I think it's on your, we've got stuff on the table for you as well.
Hot luck.
Yes.
Wow. President Wall, Greg Braun here.
Hello, Greg.
How are you?
I am well.
Good to see you at the soccer game.
Yeah, it's fun, wasn't it?
No, it's fun. My guest today is Antoine Terry. Antoine, stand up. He is with Unite 502, which is his organization and helps kids in the West End. He's a great guy, a good friend. Please give him a nice welcome.
I have two guests myself today. First, Charlie Dickin, back over here. He's with First Kentucky Trust. He's Executive Vice President and Trust Officer there, and been a long-time family friend, and I thought you might want to hear about cryptocurrency. So, welcome, Charlie. And Marcus, I should have asked you how to pronounce your last name. Bluma. So Marcus is from Germany, V. Gates. He's his father's the president of his local club, and emailed Deline and me last week and said, would you introduce Marcus? Marcus married an American, a Louisvillian, and that was Katie Alvey from here. He went to London. He went to the Roehampton. Got his master's in business from Roehampton in London. He moved to Berlin, worked there as a consultant for a while, lived in Charlotte for a while. He has now moved to Louisville, trying to make it his home, and we want to help him network. He's in business consultant, project management, so if you need a multilingual, handsome, young, married to a Louisvillian, Marcus is your guy. But please meet Marcus, and Marcus is considering joining our club, wants to hear all the great things we do. Welcome, Marcus. Guest, Marcus, this is you. If you want to hear more about Rotary, my friend Craig Sherman, he's back there. So there he is, up front today. He'll be right over here. What is Rotary Table to learn about what it takes to become a member, but you really want to do that because of all the great things that we do in Louisville. Now, I'm happy to turn the podium over to today's announcer, who does not need an introduction, but here comes Deline, our executive director, and she deserves a round of applause just because of all the great work she does.
Thank you, Walden. Your chair is right over there that I forgot to bring over here like you requested. Hello, everybody. Good to see you out here on this beautiful day. We have a few announcements here. First of all, our fellow Rotarians from District 6740 are raising funds to help those devastated by the flooding in eastern Kentucky. The Pikeville Rotary Club will serve as the district's point of contact for cash contributions to a 501c3 fund through an account with the Pikeville Community Foundation. If you would like to donate, please see the lovely executive assistant out there, Tracy Peck, and she will give you all the information that you need. In the spotlight, I'm always excited to highlight Rotarians in the spotlight, and I need your help because I'm online a lot and I see a lot of this, and a few of you send things to me, but I know there's a whole lot more of you being spotlighted in our community, and I would love to feature you. So, in the spotlight, Dr. Patty Wider, is she here today? I don't think she's here. She is the president-elect of the Kentucky Psychological Association, and she was recently interviewed by WHAS 11 about when, how, and what age parents should talk about school shootings. So, very important topic. Go out there and watch that video if you can. Also spotlighted recently by PNC Bank is Rotarian Erica Fields, along with her company Brooks Grain. And Jeremy Vokerka, I don't know if he's here or not, but with Miranda Construction, they were selected or chosen as one of the 10 Louisville area companies named on the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing private companies in America. And I just learned from Jay Mallory after I created this slide that ImageQuest has been on that list for 3 years, is that correct? So congratulations to Miranda and to ImageQuest. Several members and their organizations will be recognized at the Business First Partners in Philanthropy Luncheon, which happens to be next Thursday. So hopefully most of you will come to Rotary, but we'll understand if you go to that luncheon instead. Congrats to Amy Luttrell and Casey Meyer on being named a 2022 Nonprofit Visionary Leader. Other members, companies were recognized, including our corporate members, Norton Healthcare and Mr. P Express. I would like to invite all of you to join me on Sunday, September 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the world's largest potluck in Iroquois Park. Bring your favorite dish and experience the magic that happens when you share food and conversation. And Judd Hendricks is right here. He put some flyers on your table, or you can talk to him about it. I went the first year, I think I went, and it was just incredible. I met some people that I'm on Facebook friends with now, and it's just an experience like none other. They put the tables all along the pathway in Iroquois Park, and they have a drone that just goes on and on and on and on because it's literally like 3,000 people. So it's really cool. Attend it if you can. Hopefully you have all of these dates on your calendar. They're also in Sparks and in DAC TV. I won't go over them. And finally, if you have not paid your dues for the third quarter yet, please do so or contact me to provide your credit card. As mentioned, the new billing feature does not integrate with the prior database of cards on file. And I know some of you have actually not received your invoice yet, and those will be coming tomorrow or this weekend. So thank you all, and back to you all.
All right, I'm going to talk about a couple of things here. First of all, those of us that went to the soccer game had a great time. It was a lot of fun. And then Ashley is actually here today. No, she's hiding a little bit because we got 100 tickets to the women's game for this Saturday night, and like 140 of y'all want tickets. So she's going, how do we divvy them up fairly? But it's kind of like first come, first serve, but that's all good. So we're doing lots of fun things. Having these things oversubscribed is great. I'm looking around the room and I see a bunch of folks I haven't seen in a while, which I hope to see you again, and again, because more people in the room is more energy. It's part about what being a Rotarian is, hear what we're doing in the world, and to continue to do good for us. Soccer, I just did that. Now, West Louisville Housing Initiative. So on your table, there are a few of these copies. Pick one up. Pick it up. I'm going to wait until they're all picked up. Fold it up, put it in your pocket, fill it out, turn it in. We need to support the West Louisville Housing Initiative more and more. We're giving 67 families, the first-time homeowners in the 9 named neighborhoods in West Louisville. Try to say that quickly. The 9 named neighborhoods. Don't ask me to name them. I can name most of them. Anyway, first-time homeowners. This is a project that a lot of folks around the country is watching. The Federal Reserve Bank told us that this program is the first of its kind in the country. What makes it interesting is because we're funding the entire loan amount, but also with this underwriting that has not been done before for folks that cannot qualify for a regular home loan. Because if they could qualify, they'd already be in the mill. What this means is the single woman parent that has 2 children, that works 2 or 3 jobs, that has enough income to pay a mortgage, she's paying rent. And if she's in West Louisville or anywhere, she's paying 2 to 3 times as much as she could for owning a home. So this is really important, and it's a way to build generational wealth. I mean, this is in the United States, it's how it's done for generations, is through your home ownership, and the folks that we're helping here don't have access to this. This is a big deal, and we're going to have a phone and text-a-thon on Monday from 4:30 to 7, once again at my house. If anybody in the room that's already done this and wants to sign up, please see me afterwards, we'll get you called. But on Monday afternoon, if you get a phone call from somebody that you don't know or unknown caller, you might want to pick up. But if you don't, that's okay, because we're going to text you, we're going to email you, we're going to leave you a message about this, and we're going to bug you till you say yes or no. You may have other priorities. That's your prerogative to support other things. However, this is a good one. What was good, Barbara? I heard that.
Yeah. That's good.
That's good.
An answer.
An answer. An answer one way or the other. It's always a good thing. Anyway.
Well, I did want to mention that there are only a couple sheets at each table that you all should have received an email, or at least the people who aren't guests should have received an email today with the form to download. So please go get that if you're at your table or all of you.
And talk this up. I mean, this is something, we're going to turn it on to the community here before too long. And we're trying to raise we will raise $5 million for this effort. Now, without further ado, and if I can get to the correct page, thank you, Jolene, for stapling these so I can keep on track. I'd like to introduce Rick Harned, Major Donor, District Assistant Governor, Chair of the District International Service Committee, to the podium to introduce today's speaker. Thank you, Rick. Hand for Rick.
Thank you, President Walt. That's great. It's an honor for me to introduce our speaker today, who will be talking about a topic that I find quite puzzling and rather suspect. I hope you read the summary of his professional career in Sparks. I'm not going to recount it here, but just note that he has over 30 years of experience and leadership in dealing with electronic banking issues, disputes, and regulations, including cryptocurrencies and ransomware hacks, and how they interact with our financial system. He was involved with treasury management systems at National City Bank. Those of you old-timers who remember National City Bank. And since 2008 has been with Brown Todd. Bill and I met when we both worked at National City in the 1990s. My unit was downsized shortly thereafter, and I went off to a different direction, and we kind of lost contact with each other until we reconnected at a political fundraiser this spring. And I was sure that his expertise would be valuable and useful for us to understand. Bill grew up in Ohio. When he told his high school counselor that he was being offered a swimming scholarship at the University of Michigan, the counselor said, "You're not going to that school." Well, he did, and he did well, and he graduated, but he tells me he's still a Buckeye 364 days of the year. After getting his law degree from Vanderbilt, Bill came to Louisville to work with Middleton Reutlinger in the 1980s in trial practice before beginning to specialize in electronic banking issues. He's married and has 3 grown children who went off to university in different corners of the country, in Pennsylvania and Texas and Washington State, so we got to check on all of them from time to time. When he's not working on blockchain and crypto issues, he enjoys spending time outdoors on his farm in Anderson County. Please give my friend Bill Repasky a warm Rotary welcome.
Rick, thank you very much. Again, my honor to be here today talking, and it will be my challenge to get through this topic in the allotted time. I spend weeks at conferences trying to figure out what blockchain is and is not, and we're going to talk about it now in about 15 to 20 minutes. One of the first things I decided was if anybody's talking to you about blockchain and they have a tie on, you know they're a fraud. So please take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. It's my opinion. It's not the certainly not the position of Frost Brown Todd on any of these subjects. So we're going to have fun, in other words. Can we go to the next slide? We're talking about Bitcoin. Rick said, let's talk about Bitcoin and what it is and what it's not. I think the first thing, and I'll be the first guy, I think I'm the first guy nationally to have figured a way to get Romeo and Juliet mixed up with blockchain. And I'm going to follow the quotes from Shakespeare throughout the presentation. This is the section where she's pining for Romeo on the balcony, wondering, well, where are you? And so, what is Bitcoin? Well, it all starts with blockchain. Now, before we go, don't go to the next slide yet, but blockchain. This is something Bitcoin get nervous about, get scared, as Rick pointed out. A lot of folks are, but blockchain is real. Okay, think about where you were in 1990. Okay, what did you know about the internet in 1990? Okay, wherever that puts you in your mind frame, the real question or a real possibility is we are right there right now with this concept of the blockchain technology. You know, blockchain is a real piece of technology that works. It has infinite different possibilities, and I have clients on all different coasts talking to me about what you can and can't do with blockchain. And so the first thing I want to do is all virtual currencies like Bitcoin are built on this concept by blockchain. And blockchain is much more than just virtual currencies, but let's talk about Bitcoin today because we only have 15 minutes. So we go to the next slide. Blockchain, to start off with, what is blockchain? It is an electronic ledger. Okay, what does that mean? Think of your paper ledgers, if you were in business school like I was, or you were engaged in banking. A ledger is a sheet where you record a transaction. Okay? A block, an electronic transaction page is a block, and it records data about a particular event. Then, when the next event occurs in sequence, there'll be another block created, and they are all chained together, and hence the clever name blockchain. And this is a public ledger, meaning that this is not a ledger kept at the old, the archives of First Savings Bank or someplace else. This is accessible to everybody. We can all go on and read everything we want to about every piece of information on a particular blockchain. But it is secure in the sense, and we'll talk about this, that it's immutable and we can't go in and change it. We can't forge somebody's signature to prevent or change the chain or the history of that blockchain because of the technology involved. And so blockchain is what Bitcoin is based upon. That's the technology. But I do want you to be aware that blockchain is much, much more than Bitcoin. Or Bitcoin is only one part of the blockchain universe. And I mentioned it may be the most revolutionary concept since the internet in terms of what blockchain is. So let's go to the next slide. And this slide is particularly bright. Okay, well, this particular slide actually walked through what's a blockchain technology, how we're going to create this, and how it looks in a graphic format. But again, think of it like a ledger. The old paper books, every time you add a new page to the ledger, you've got a ledger book. And that is or your block, is the blockchain space, or the blockchain. Could you try the next slide, please?
You're telling it to.
And there it goes. It's a blockchain technology failure. We'll try to advance another slide. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about, before we jump right into Bitcoin, I just want you to kind of try to come up with some real-world examples why blockchain is potentially a very revolutionary concept. We have clients, and we're aware of many, many applications of people exploring the blockchain world for business applications. For instance, blockchain can create what's called smart contracts. And smart contracts are essentially an if A, then B happens. For instance, a great use and a prevalent use right now of blockchain is in supply chain management. For instance, as an example, if a ship is carrying cargo from Asia to Los Angeles, a blockchain contract, a smart contract is probably involved, meaning that the sensors on the ship, once it recognizes that it has come into the port of Los Angeles, it will automatically recognize that a condition has happened and create the next step in the contract, meaning it will generate an invoice for which the shipper is paid, and the lines of credit, or excuse me, letters of credit held at banks are released, and that invoices are created. No longer do we have to get people involved. Do we have to send documents back and forth to demonstrate the ship actually arrived in Los Angeles? And well, the next one, we're going to now dive into Bitcoin a little bit. And to quote, they stay with the Romeo and Juliet theme: deny thy father and refuse thy name. Bitcoin has, let's go to the next slide if you can.
The next one?
And keep going. Well, I'll try our luck here.
Gremlin attacks again.
Go again and see if maybe we get lucky on every other slide. Bitcoin is money. That is a piggy bank on the screen. Okay, there we go. Now, unfortunately, I have to ask you to move, and so we're going to have to experience some. Can you try the next one? Oh, wonderful. Okay, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a virtual currency. There are probably 60 different virtual currencies out there today. Bitcoin is the one that was first popularized and what everybody knows about. So we're just going to talk about Bitcoin, but think of that as this discussion is relevant to all virtual currencies. So let's start at the very beginning. Bitcoin was created in 2008 or 2009. And so what is Bitcoin? Fundamentally, is it an electronic replacement for the fiat currency, the dollar you have in your wallet, or your change in your purse? Or, as the founders of Bitcoin and the original early adopters, where it was a libertarian response to the centralized control of money. It is no coincidence that Bitcoin was first invented, so to speak, based on the blockchain technology in 2008, which is the 2008 financial crisis. Everything was going to heck in a handbasket. People had lost their savings. Everybody was very upset with the centralized control of money supply. And the inventors wanted to come up with something that did not involve government's fingers on it. So they wanted to create their own money. And this is what they've done, or this is what they've tried to do with the virtual currencies. You got to stick it to the man. Is there a theory on that? So let's try the next slide and see if we're on a roll here. This slide is a statute, the very first statute in the world of the inventor of Bitcoin. We don't know who invented Bitcoin. There is a gentleman called Satoshi Nakamoto, who is the theoretical inventor. But it's probably a group of people, but nonetheless, over in Hungary, they built this first statue, the first one ever, the founder of Bitcoin. It's a bronze statue, and it's supposed to, if you look in it, it's a shiny face to see yourself, so you can begin to imagine the possibilities that Bitcoin's original libertarian foundations were based on. We're going to Europe this next summer. I don't think we'll be stopping to see that statue, but Rick, if I do, I'll send you a picture. So let's move on to the next slide, please. I was an economics major at the University of Michigan, and I do remember, one of the things we talked about, what is money? The very concept of money. Bitcoin is money, or isn't it? So what is money? Well, we know from our schooling that it's a measure of value, it's a medium of exchange, and it's a store of value. And the medium of exchange issue, I'm going to talk a little bit more about, transfer of consideration. I mow your lawn and you pay me. The money transfers the consideration between the two parties. As a lawyer, I need to say that because that's contract law 101. But, so how does Bitcoin stand up or stack up? How do virtual currencies stack up to the concept of the core issues of money? Can it become a replacement money? We are on a roll. Store of value. This chart traces the price points at which you could buy Bitcoins for US dollars over the course of its very beginning. It starts off in 2013. Now, I told you it was invented in 2008, and that's true. Bitcoin did not rise above 1 penny in value until 2010, and the first market recognition was at 9 cents a Bitcoin. And that's why you really can't see it. I didn't copy that because I thought it was a small enough chart. But this shows you the price. And so your question is, if money's supposed to be a store of value, meaning $1 I put under my mattress, it's probably $1 I can spend 10 years from now. Is Bitcoin a good store of value if its price fluctuates up and down like that does, like it historically has? Next slide. Another concept of store of value. More than 7,000, well, we've lost almost $80 million between October and March 2021, stolen from Bitcoin wallets, store of value issue. The largest cryptocurrency hack happened in March of this year. Over 620 million was stolen. The Rotary network is the administrator of an online virtual game. Someone told me what that game was. I'm not quite sure. So to quote a popular commercial that we've all seen on television many times, which is, what's in your wallet? This is, how safe is your wallet? Now, one of the issues I didn't speak about in cryptocurrency is, let's say, and I'm not pointing any fingers or mentioning Delene's name on purpose, but you had a cryptocurrency that you bought some time ago. How do you hold it? Well, you hold your cryptocurrency, that evidence of your ownership of that cryptocurrency that's proven on that blockchain, in your wallet. It's a virtual wallet. It's not a real wallet, but it's the basis on which cryptocurrency exchange in the marketplace happens. You have a wallet, you want to pay someone for goods, you open your wallet, and you can transfer Bitcoin to whoever you want to from your wallet. But in order to do that, you have to hold on to your wallet, and you have to hold on to your passcode. So the question is, what happens if you lose your wallet or lose your passcode? Do you still own Bitcoin or any virtual currency? You theoretically do, but it's unobtainable to you. You can never get it back. You can sue everybody you want, and no one can find it. No one will be able to find it for you. It's, if we went to a lost money, I might go to the Kentucky treasurer and say, hey, I'm looking for abandoned funds. They can't help. No one can help. So the question is a store of value, there's a lot of risks associated with this as a money substitute, Bitcoin. Next slide, please. The next slide is a medium of exchange. This is one of the core concepts. We don't, my firm doesn't pay me in watermelons and chickens anymore. They usually pay me in cash. I'm a $1 a day guy over at the firm. And I get $1 transferred to my bank account. So a medium of exchange. So the question is if you were a merchant in business, would you be interested in accepting Bitcoin? A lot of folks do. I will tell you that Frost, Brown, Todd, we accept payment for legal services in Bitcoin. Now what we do, and I don't think this is letting out any state secrets, Jerry, but as soon as the Bitcoin comes in, we immediately run to the spot market and turn it into cash. Okay? So the first question is float. If you're a merchant, you took a Bitcoin this morning, and the price of Bitcoin fluctuates wildly. That's a new transactional risk. I really wanted $100, and now I've got $1,200. Bitcoin has risen, or maybe it's crashed, or maybe you have an agreement to pay $100 to be released when I finish mowing your lawn. Over that time, Bitcoin floats in price, and that makes it a difficult proposition as a medium for exchange. Transactional important factor, and I just spoke with some folks in Seattle yesterday who are working on solving these problems, is the transactional point-of-sale settlement. If you have a credit card and you go to Walmart or any of the good stores, or any store, you'll swipe it through and you'll probably almost immediately have that transaction authorized relatively quickly. I got it from 3 to 22 seconds. That's the average, usually a lot more quickly. 3 seconds. We know whether this card is accepted. And if the transaction is authorized, that means essentially as a cardholder, you're going to have to pay this, or your bank's going to have to pay this to the merchant. And then you walk out with your groceries. And at most retailers, they want that volume moving quick. They don't want to have people, they hate people paying checks. That slows down the whole line. And perhaps drives people to other stores. But with Bitcoins, this concept of verifying that a block is legitimate, it's done by computer problem solving, meaning that if, as one of my great slides showed, if I wanted to use a Bitcoin to buy something, that data would have to be sent out to the public internet, and people would eventually, they're called miners, get in and decide whether I actually owned that Bitcoin by solving problems, and whether the transaction that I wanted to use it for was legitimate. And they would, again, it's called proof of work. You have to do computer work. These mining rigs are, well, we'll talk about this, are an important industry in Kentucky. It's use case. And consequently, when you do that, and you can play with other people's money, we get the natural tendency that we've seen since 2008. All asset prices, in the strangest thing in our history, have all uniformly risen. And I think because of the fact that our interest rate were so low artificially for so long. And maybe this was why Bitcoin exploded like it has. Well, this is a new type of commodity, but rather than grain, I don't have to store it, I can keep it, and it's just going through the roof. It's a new Beanie Babies, and then tomorrow it's not the new Beanie Babies, get out of Dodge fast. But I think that's part of the reason why Bitcoin has exploded as it has as a collectible. Because I'm still not convinced personally, individually, and not on behalf of Frost Brown Todd, that there's still not a good viable business case for virtual currency in most situations. Well, and with that, I guess I'll accept any questions or sit down. All right. Holy cow, okay. I think they hid the slides on purpose to make sure that I finish in time.
Stay right here, stay right here. So, thank you, Bill. So if this is, and I'm going to ask, this is a really bad question maybe. So, is it considered an investment? And if it is, you're going to get taxed on it if it goes up, and if it goes down, you have losses, just like you would in the stock market.
Well, my insurance carrier requires to tell you that I cannot offer business advice, especially tax advice. I know more about the Uniform Commercial Code and banking than anybody should. Tax issues. We understand, or I understand, that the IRS taxes these assets as a commodity. And right now I understand, not being a tax lawyer, that it's like real estate. When you buy and sell, you have a taxable event. That was part of the question you asked. What was the other part, Walt?
I've lost that.
So the IRS, we've had 87,000 new IRS agents. I'm sure part of them are not going to be carrying guns, but are going to be carrying tablets to check on the virtual currency transactions.
There you go, Chris.
I don't know, and thank you, Bill. Appreciate your insight into all this. So where is mining happening in Kentucky? Question number one. And is it a system similar to what the Medici, kind of created out of thin air, 500 years ago?
Mining in Kentucky is, we've had clients, or we're aware of projects, how about this, from the western part of the state to the eastern part of the state. The secret to being a successful mining operation is to locate where you, as close as you possibly can, to a major power line so that you can pull off power at the cheapest possible rates. Then the next thing you need to do is get the cheapest possible land prices. So mining is from Paducah to Campbellsville to abandoned coal operations in eastern Kentucky where there's close power lines, because that's the key again. It's all power. How cheap is the power? Because electricity is fungible, so we're just going to go for the cheapest place. Now, I like that because I love economic history. I think this is entirely different. Bitcoin is just an individual unit of currency that's theoretically supposed to represent some sense of value that you hold. What happened in the, was creating the international banking system is what I typically think about this. So I could have credit available for my clients in multiple locations throughout Europe while there was no central bank or no common currency, but certain bankers would get together and agree that if you tell me Jane is worth X, then I will agree to let Jane send a ship to point Z, and the banks can settle their ledgers and bank accounts that way over time. I think it's a little different. It's an individual application of blockchain.
Thank you. Great presentation. As a former banker and as a businessman, I guess I'm trying to get my handle on the fact that, Bitcoin, there seems to be no recourse. You hear those stories about the guy that has got $1 million, but he can't remember the passcode, and so there's no way. is there a board of directors, or is there any type of PR? It just seems, at least with Tesla, you got Elon, running around. There just seems to be there's this entity that prides itself on being anonymous, with no recourse, and not insured, but they want your money.
Well, that's right. There really is no recourse. Now, individually, different cryptocurrencies, you're not going to go there. It's all decentralized. In most senses, most blockchain companies really, or at least virtual currencies, don't have a board of directors. There's no oversight administrator saying, we're going to issue so much cryptocurrency this week or that month, or this month to control the supply. I will tell you, Bitcoin has a theoretical limit, upper limit of the amount that mathematically can be created of somewhere around $21 million, or 21 million Bitcoins, and we're about almost 19 of those, 21 or 24 Bitcoins have been issued. So the whole point of this is libertarian. We do not want to have, a central administrator, controlling things. We want to be able to get together and make decisions on the internet. Do we have consensus? Does this blockchain space? So, right now we have a lot of people who call me saying, I just lost so many thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, to this custodial wallet company I had because they got hacked. And someone told them to send my funds to their account. I've lost all my Bitcoins or Ether or whatever type of coinage it is. And how can we help them? How can we help them? It comes back to looking at the contract and how good, and every contract we all know is only as good as the person that stands behind it. There really isn't. And again, I do want to point out that a lot of people are trying to figure out how to make investment, like can we put retirement savings in Bitcoin? 401k investments. What do we do? I mean, these are some staggering up and downs. You can make a lot of money if you started late in savings and you hit the gold rush just right, and your timing was good. So maybe we should have those as 401k products, but they're not insured. They're not guaranteed, and there's really no one that stands behind them unless we can find somebody who we can sue. Who some people try to have what's called stable coins. It's theoretically linked to something. It's not going to rise at these crazy prices up and down that Bitcoin does. But as you guys saw in the summer, the major stable coin just like went bankrupt. It was built on some pipe dream of how things would work, and it just didn't work. It didn't have a good banker behind it. Asking for due diligence, in other words.
Thank you for being here today. I've learned a whole lot and have lots more questions. I have one question, and depending on how you answer that, I might have a second question. And I hope I'm not the only person in the room who's going to ask this question. You referred to the miners. I kept waiting for a pronoun and never got one. Are miners humans sitting down at laptops figuring this out, or are miners a technological program figuring these things out?
They're the technological programs figuring things out. These mining operations are just almost acres of computers that are consuming a lot of energy, also creating a lot of heat. So air conditioning is the key for having a successful mining operation. And the whole goal is you want the most technology possible so you can solve as many problems as you possibly can, so you can achieve the greatest rewards for that work, that proof of work.
So thank you for that answer. That helps me a lot. The next question is, so that 0.1% of miners who are doing the 90% of the mining, where is that located?
Okay, I'm talking about the ownership I meant. It's not in one specific location. Fascinating. China, for some reason, wasn't comfortable with having cryptocurrency because they couldn't control it. And that's part of the communist state. We need to be able to know what people are spending on. Now suddenly this is all off ledger. We're having a hard time following it. So they just made it illegal. And they were the nation with the largest mining capacity in the world, and they just decided, you're all gone, so to speak. And they all had to leave. And that's why there was that gold rush or land rush of businesses coming to the United States, going to Canada, because Canada has pretty cheap electricity, and elsewhere. And that's what Kentucky has tried to jump on, the bandwagon. So when I speak about, it's not a single location, but it's ownership that controls it, wherever those may be, because a mining rig is expensive.
Thank you. Stay right here for 1 second. Yes, another round of applause for this. Also, you heard of Rotary talking about the West Louisville Housing Initiative, and we're making a $500 contribution in your honor to the West Louisville Housing Initiative for being our speaker today. Thank you. And then I know what you all are waiting for is it's the door. Well, surprisingly you said that, so no, Bill, you got to stay up here for a second. So we have our door prize, and Delane just walked up to me and said, the donor of the Bitcoin just rescinded it because apparently the price went up and they were too greedy. So this is for a free meal. So great. Here we go. 4, 8, 7, 2, 2, 2. Do we have a winner here? There we go, Chris. Chris, thank you, Bill, very much. If anybody has any further questions, I think Bill would stick around and answer them. So thank you for that. We're going to quickly get through the rest of this. We're at 12:59. I'll do my best to get us out on time. Look at this. Well, no, before we do that, though, I guess we'll do that first, whichever one. Next week, y'all want to listen. Big deal. Get here early. Governor Beshear is going to do a Zoom call with us before our speaker. So we have 15 minutes with Governor Andy Beshear. Thank you. Julie just left, I think. Julie arranged this. This is so good. We haven't heard from the governor since the middle of the pandemic. He is doing it by Zoom because that's just a good thing for him to do for his time. But we're going to have that. We're also going to have Aaron Thompson, president of the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education. is our guest speaker. But get here early, and we'll hear from Governor Beshear. Big deal. All right, now Walt's words of wisdom. We're going to get out of here. Too many people spend money they earn to buy things they don't want to impress people they don't like. But boom, Will Rogers. Wealth consists not of having great possessions, but of having few wants. Epictetus. And my favorite, Yogi Berra, a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. The real measure of your wealth is how much you'll be worth if you lost all your money. And finally, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Our friend Ben Franklin. With that, guest, please meet Craig Sherman over here. Thank you for everybody for being here. A lot of energy. Bill, thank you for a great presentation. I think I have more questions, but I think that those are always good. But all good. Thank you. And we are adjourned.